How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to JDC Studio. My name is Jacob, and welcome to my 8th NCS song ranking, which is on an artist named Skrindo. If you've seen the video where I ranked the 100 most viewed NCS songs, you'll know he topped 2 that list with Entropy and Jumbo. And after listening to much more of NCS's music, I can confirm that it's still in my top 10. I think I can pretty confidently say too that he's one of my favorite house artists. He does other genres too, but mainly house. Well, but that's assuming that I don't accidentally stumble upon another NCS house artist that somehow has better songs than his. But anyway, because of all that, I wanted to make my next NCS artist ranking on him. And before we begin, a minor disclaimer that this ranking won't be including Falling Down since it doesn't have a visualizer video on the main NCS channel. So without further ado, let's get into the list, starting with number 18. Number 18 is Future Vibes by K Sappho featuring Stuart Wallace. Although this is his worst song on the label for me, and even that could change, I still got enjoyment out of this. The lush synth pads are really nice. The lyrics in the second verse remind me a little bit of Diviner's Escape. I think this song just loses points for the drop, which has a slightly worse melody, but other than that, there really isn't a single bad song here. I give it a 68 out of 100. Number 17 is Dreamer Remix, originally by Alan Walker, an arguably creative remix for a long comeback song. I like how he increased the tempo and pitch to make a more trancey feel, heard best in the drops, which kinda have trancey beats. It sadly doesn't beat the original because of the cussing in the intro, which seemed super unnecessary, but the awesome theme is still dominant. I give it a 71 out of 100.
Don't try this yourself.
Number 16 is Moments with Stall. Does this background look familiar? I feel like we just saw it. One big positive of this song is the classic house vibes, which are a tiny bit nostalgic despite me not knowing the song for long. I also love how they managed to fit 3 drops in a little under 200 seconds, although I do find the basses in those drops kind of awkward, and I would have never expected the key change at the end, but I don't know how to feel about it. I give it a 74 out of 100. Number 15 is Tell Me with Killer Cats. Apparently, Alex does the vocals on this one, even though there are very few and they're all turned high-pitched, but his name is credited, so I'm counting it. The guitar and playful melody at the beginning reminds me of Kaibu, another one of Killer Cat's songs. That was actually another lobby song on Epic Minigames. Instant nostalgia factor there. The drops were the part that felt the most empty, mainly because of the anticipation I had from what came before it. However, that's not a bad thing because the melody is still fun and enjoyable like before. I give it a 76 out of 100. Number 14 is What I Said, also by Killer Cats. The most common last place among rankers, and I assume it's because of its uniqueness, but I actually like that. The progression of the first minute and a half is amazing because it would be really hard to predict what the drop would sound like from the first few seconds. The lyrics feel a bit filtered, but again, I think it adds to the vibe. The drops could be perceived as messy, but the wacky melody sounded awesome in my opinion. I give it an 83 out of 100. Number 12 is Together with Rude Lies, Distrion, and Axel, another NCS 10 mega collab, and this one was quite a ride for its duration. I really like how the melody in the intro sounds like it's being played on a music box before the lyrics and background plugs come in. Those lyrics also have a filter, although in this one they sound more robotic and auto-tuned, giving off a super cool feeling. This might be controversial, but the drop is the worst part of the song for being relatively empty, but worst doesn't always mean bad. I give it an 85 out of 100. Number 11 is Lightning with Distrion. The intro immediately brings dramatic vibes with the strings and piano, and the synth melody makes it all the more thrilling. One thing I enjoy most about house build-ups, and don't ask why I didn't mention this before, is when it repeats part of the melody and stays on the same chord for a few measures before the drop. The song does that well, leading into the hard-hitting drop. This would be higher without the weird voices sometimes heard as background, but other than that, it's up to par with the rest of his electro or whatever the genre is songs. I give it an 86 out of 100.
Take our hearts and run free.
Number 10 is Into the Wild with Coven featuring Izzy. This is one of those songs where you really have to hear the whole thing to say you know it, because the dramatic off drops are highly contrasted from the house drops, which sounds a bit more influenced by Coven for sounding similar to Skyline, but I'm never a critic for those kind of things. I give this an 87 out of 100. Number 9 is Thinkin' with Misa. This one's quite a toss-up in some ways. I'll start by saying the mixing and progression is a little weird. For example, how the build-up leads into the drop. Although the rising beats were done right, the melody is very calm, lowering the excitement. This would also benefit the most from being longer, as even the extended version is less than 3 minutes. However, the drops deliver better than ever. I adore the melody, and the clean future house beats along with it makes it one of the best house drops on the label, honestly. It's not just the drop either. The sound design throughout the entire song is absolute peak. I give it an 87 out of 100. Number 7 is Heart with Severin and Like Lions. Seeing Alex try out melodic dubstep was surprising, albeit with 2 other artists that drop melodubs much more frequently, and though this might not be my favorite of the genre, I still love pretty much everything here except the lyrics, which I found kinda strange at some points. One of Alex's hidden skills in my opinion is being able to make songs feel longer than they are, which is also true for other songs of his I've already talked about, but I think it's the most apparent here. Great job guys, I give it an 89 out of 100.
Just me and you.
Number 5 is Me and You with Uplink featuring Axel. This song is so well made at every part. First of all, the intro, which is composed of the most beautiful atmosphere of synth pads, and a synth melody gaining volume as it goes on. Once the first verse came, it sadly became much more empty, but also introduced a piano, and that awesome synth melody returned in the build-up, which by the way is an improvement from Thinkin'. The drop had a nice melody and a fairly standard beat, but right after it, we get this insane saxophone solo which blew me away and reminded me of Kriya on the first listen. That and the simply magical intro made this song so good that I just couldn't exclude it from the top 5. I give it a 92 out of 100. Number 4 is Get Up Again featuring Axel. The reason for me loving this is simple. It has a very well done theme. The non-drops have a very nice background made of pads, similarly to Future Vibes but executed much better obviously. The drops have multiple amazing melodies, and the lyrics are motivational. What's not to love here? Additionally, this is on the longer side of his songs, meaning we have more time to enjoy all of this. I give it a 94 out of 100. And since the last 3 songs are all ones I've already talked about and I don't have anything new to say about them, I'll just insert the outro here. What do you think of my list? Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Is there anything I didn't mention that you'd like to add? If so, I'm happy to have a discussion in the comments, but please, and I want to make this clear because I'm aware there have been some community issues with this recently, remember that these are all opinions, so we should respect them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. JDC out.
Jack it up.